Randy.
Mm-hmm.
You doing all right, man?
I am. Yes, I am. You like how I did my hair today? You like that?
I appreciate the fact that you invested a little bit of time to make yourself more presentable for the show. And I'm sure our audience does as well.
I had to get up awfully early to get a head start on it. But glad to be with you. Hey, man, it's another Monday. It's 23rd. And welcome to a new week, folks. Randy Wooden with Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina, director for our professional center here in Winston-Salem. And we, as you might expect, help professionals with their job search. And I know what you're seeing. Anybody can get a job anywhere, plenty of jobs. Well, yes and no. There are a lot of jobs. Are the right jobs for the right people all aligning? Not necessarily. There's some challenges there ahead. I don't care whether you have a degree or not. There's still some challenges. So we're happy to try to help you work by appointment, and we'd welcome a phone call or an email or a LinkedIn message to say, let's get started. It's all free. That's enough about me, Teddy. Why don't you introduce yourself and let's get this thing started?
Yeah, for those who've never met me, I'm a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. And also our business started another division of the company called Teaching Google Workplace and Gmail as business tools. Love to help business professionals who want more out of LinkedIn and want more out of that Google Workplace, because it's a powerful business tool. But a couple times a week, Randy and I get together and we cut up and we laugh and we joke and we play around a little bit. But then what we do is we bring stories and ideas to everybody. And then, on Mondays, we'll tell you who our great guest is going to be. Our special guest is going to be.
Got a good one. Got a good one coming up, by the way. Hey, Teddy, I'm thinking about opening, you mentioned Google Workspace. I'm thinking about opening my own division too. I'm thinking Windows 95 and WordPerfect, because you don't see that a lot anymore. You don't.
That?
I could have that niche all to myself.
Yeah.
Windows 95. Yeah. And WordPerfect. I think I could make a go at that.
You could. You absolutely could. Randy, I encourage you to take on any challenge you want to take on, big boy.
Hey, the crack research staff of me, I love doing this. It's kind of funny, actually. Each week we get together and kind of go over a couple birthdays and actually deaths that occurred on this date in history, and then or on this date in calendar, and a quick event or two that happened. So, two people you've heard of, one you haven't, Teddy. Here you go. Births, 1958, Drew Carey, Price is Right, comedian.
What day in 58, man?
It would be this date, the 23rd.
Oh, the 23rd, because I was born somewhere around there.
Oh, that could have been you in The Price is Right.
Could have been, man.
Another game show famous person, Ken Jennings, was born on this date, 1974. He of the, I don't know how many millions he won on Jeopardy, but remember he had that great run, and he's also been a host as well. Now, here's one you don't know.
Okay.
All right. The year was 1908. The man's name is John Bardeen. He is the co-inventor of something, and it's something we don't really use these days, but we used to use them a lot back when.
I got it.
All right.
I got it.
All right.
He invented the pencil sharpener.
That was his cousin, Tim Bardeen. No, John invented the transistor. He was you remember the transistor radio? Yeah. And the boom boxes we carried around. Yeah. So he was a co-inventor of that. Yeah. Deaths on this date, famous Bonnie and Clyde.
Which one?
They both died.
Oh, did they both die?
on this date in history? It was a bad day for Bonnie and Clyde. Let me just say. Here's something I didn't know though. Bonnie was only 23 and Clyde Barrow was 25. So they created a lot of havoc in a short period of time. And so as you might expect, they died at the same time. John D. Rockefeller died on this date, 1937, and Roger Moore of the Saint. Remember Roger Moore? He was, if not my favorite, he was in the top two. And he was, of course, famous for being James Bond as well. On this date in history, The Shining was released 1980. And on this date, here's something you probably use, I think. Okay. Ben Franklin on this date in 1785 invented the bifocals. Oh, do you have bifocals?
No, I don't, man. Yeah, but I know what bifocals are. Yeah. I haven't used them, man. I know what they are, but I haven't used them. My eyes are perfect, buddy. I wear glasses just for the beautiful frames.
It matches your shirt, so I appreciate that. It's quite interesting. All right. So a story.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I need something blue. Hang on. I got a blue marker. I use a blue marker if you want to, draw on your face a little bit. All right. So here's the story. And this is not specific to any one person or anything, but it's just an observation I've had over the last several weeks in modeling, seeing other people's behaviors and seeing things that you admire and wish to copy, basically, good stuff. And also seeing behavior like, ooh, I hope I'm not doing that. And lessons are all around us if we just take the time to observe those. And we see compassion, we see sympathy, we see patience, we see integrity, we see a lot of very positive things that a lot of times go under the radar. And what gets our attention is when you see bad things. Mm. And it's so easy to play I'm better than you, I'm more moral than you, I'm more this than you, I'm that, and whatever. And that's a little dangerous path when you start going down that path. But observe what's around you. Take the good stuff, just like when you were a kid and you grew up and said, well, when I get big, I'm going to do it this way. Well, okay. Hopefully you learn as you go. And that's part of the lessons in life that we hopefully see and take into account.
My grandfather used to say, Randy, he would say, when you're walking through a cattle field, he said, just like in life, he says, walk where it's clean.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also taught me another one too, Randy. He taught me as I was learning to drive a tractor, and I was driving through a field that, picture a big old tractor, this little scrawny kid on it with the steering wheel this big around. And I kept turning the wheel, and he goes, why you keep turning the wheel? And I was like, well, Papa, I'm trying not to hit the rocks. And my grandfather would go, them rocks don't feel it, boy, keep going straight. Where's the wisdom from Papa? So, hey,
there you go.
Lessons are all around us. We got to pay attention. So here's my story, Randy. I don't know how, but over the last 10, 15 years, I've started to become this really weird wordsmith. I listen to phrases that I hear and phrases that I say, and I wonder, why the heck do we say that? I mean, stuff like, there's 16 different ways to skin a cat. Well, who did that research? And all these other things that we say over and over again. But I started writing a sentence this morning to a friend of mine. Yeah. And I started writing, and it was basically, I was asking her, I wanted to ask her, should I send an invite to this guy? A LinkedIn invite. So I started writing, should I send him a LinkedIn invite? And then I stopped and I wondered, why am I starting it with should I? And I changed the words and I said, do you think I should? I didn't really want to ask her permission to send him an invite. I wanted her opinion about whether I should or should not. Yeah. So think about the words that we use. Here's another one, Randy. Have you ever seen statements like this? Someone sends you an email and they go, I wanted to tell you about XYZ. Mm-hmm. Well, why did you say wanted? I want to tell you about XYZ because you're
let me take this opportunity to share, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it's
So think about the words you're using when you type them and ask yourself why, or even say them. Why am I using those words? And I guarantee you, it'll freak you out when you start becoming a wordsmith and challenging yourself. So that's my story for the day, buddy.
Got it. Hey, we had a great guest last week. Jonathan Schulteis joined us to talk about the great resignation and the turnover tsunami and all the stats behind what goes on, why people leave, and what companies can do all about it and retain folks. And so that was 1 week. And now we're also going to stay on the business side of things. Mark Owens, president and CEO of Greater Winston-Salem Inc. right here in Winston-Salem in the Triad. He's making a return appearance on our show. Had him on about a year ago. And he'll be back to talk about the same kinds of stuff, but really to bring us up to date on what's new with workforce development initiatives, with some of the businesses that are coming to our area, and really what's going on from the business climate standpoint now that we're hopefully another year removed from the worst of COVID.
Yeah.
And just what's changing, what's going on, what are some initiatives that are out there. So Mark's a great guy. We'd love to have you join us and join in the conversation, chat in some questions and comments. Mark's very, very forthcoming, very candid. And so look forward to having him on. So there's that. It'll be on Wednesday, the 25th, 11:55 Eastern time. Join us, and we'll have fun. Mark's a great guest. So there's that. And here's my tip.
Okay.
I don't know where I read this somewhere, I think, or maybe I heard
on
it.
The back of a cereal box.
Maybe I read it on the internet. So trust me, this is true. I don't know where I read it, but it made an impression on me. You know how, not you, Teddy, but other people, when you go to lie down to go to sleep, your mind starts to race, starts to think of all the things you need to do, all the mistakes you've made in your life, all the regrets, all the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and your mind just kind of just has a mind of its own, and it just goes and goes and goes. And you're trying to say, "Ooh, hang on." Ugh. Well, I read this where whoever was writing it said, "Why don't we try this? Why don't we start at 100, the number 100, and count backward, and not by 1, 2, 3, one at a time, but by 7 or an odd 6 or an odd kind of number." It forces our mind, because your mind can't do two things at once. Yeah. Except yours, Teddy. I mean, you're just an Einstein and, in present day.
It's the power of what I drink, dude.
Aside from Teddy Burriss, nobody else has a brain that can do two things at one time. You're either in one part of your brain or the other, whatever. And I'm no scientist, so, take that for what it's worth. But by focusing on the mathematical piece of it, it forces your mind out of the, the emotional side, and gets you in that thinking side. And so I don't really suffer from that at night because that's just me. But I tried that. I tried that the other night, and whatever I had in my mind kind of went away because I ain't that good at math. So I had to stop and phone a friend, but it was.
That was you that called me. I didn't answer the phone.
Like 2 a.m. I'm like, Teddy, what's 82 minus 7? But it really did force. I felt it. I felt my mind was like, okay, I've got to focus on this math problem. And suddenly the rest of that went away. So if you're having a little difficulty with some of that anxiety, some of that nighttime mind drifting, try that. See if it works for you. Yeah.
And then call Randy at 2 o'clock in the morning and let him know if it worked.
18, 19.
Remember Cyrus Bush's conversation about tapping?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you did that.
Tap, lay in bed and tap like that and think about it. And I like that stuff. I don't know, Ray. I get it. Sometimes I lay in bed and I ponder, world crises that I'm going to have to solve the next day. And generally I'm able to do that. But sometimes I can't quite go to sleep as fast. So I'll try the count by 100 backwards in increments of 7. And I'll come back and report to you what it does.
Yeah. Well, once you hit 0, I guess you have to start over again. I don't know they didn't tell you what to do when you get to 0. Yeah. But I know Mary had a little lamb. Count sheep in increments of 6, right?
Here's my tip, dude.
6.
Here's my tip. And again, it comes from my stories of what happens to me in life. Celebrate with others in meaningful ways. I called a friend of mine, and because she had a problem, I wanted to alert her to a problem. Somebody hacked her Facebook account, told her that real quick. But then she said, Teddy, I got something to tell you. And she went on for almost 10 minutes telling me about this really uber exciting event that's going to happen for her, what it means to her, what it means to her business, how her family was excited about it. I mean, about 10 minutes, I listened to her tell me, and I didn't see her because we were on the phone, but I guarantee you, Randy, she was radiant. I guarantee you she was smiling. Her eyes were as bright as can be because she was happy as can be. And so I said, hey, I'm really happy for you. We hung the phone up. About an hour later, I get an email from her.
Yeah.
And she said this: I really appreciate that you stopped doing what you were doing and you listened to me as I rambled on and on about my excitement. And she went on to say some more, appreciative words. And then she ended it with this. And this is a lady I know fairly well, and she's an influencer to my target audience. She could introduce me to opportunities. I've never taken her up on that potential yet. But in her email, she said, Teddy, if there is anybody that I know who I could introduce you to, let me know who that is, and I will make that happen. Now, my point of
Nice.
this tip is this. I gave her time. She was appreciative of the time. I gave it to her with no expectations of anything in return.
Mhm.
And a door open for potential, a door open for possibilities.
Yep.
Celebrate with others in meaningful ways. You have no idea how that's going to come back and pay you dividends later. And often it will.
Good deal. Hey, Mark Owens joins us on Wednesday, the 25th, 11:55 a.m. He's the president and CEO of Greater Winston-Salem Inc. And we'll talk about what's happening here in the Triad business-wise, and also as far as workforce development initiatives in general, because I know that's a passion of his. I hope you'll join us. So, Teddy, are we through for the day? Am I dismissed?
We are, buddy. I've got to go do some other things. Go make people happy, buddy.
All right. I'll see you later.
All right, man. I'll see you later on.